So there I was, at my desk, the day, September 29th. I was compelled to play the greatest game of all time, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I log in and see a Duelist Cup? Ending tonight? If only Konami would let me know when these start! Anyway, I did what any rational person would and played every game possible in the time remaining. Just one problem. What deck do I play? Yubel? Yeah, I pulled a couple of those Phantom Yubels from the selection pack earlier. It'd be great. Oh. Well, there's always Centurion. I did get lucky and pull a couple of those. Oh. Wait, I got it. Sprite? Live Twin. I've been playing Sprite since it came out in the TCG. The Light Twin variant works since it's a variant I've been playing since Elf was banned in the TCG. It's also the first deck I crafted in Master Duel. Now, the list is unconventional. I would love to have playsets of some of these hand traps, however, material doesn't grow on trees. Plus, I should focus on finishing the extra deck with Trouble Sunny and the Access Code Talker package. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do so in time for this Duelist Cup, but I have faith. Let's see how far Old Reliable can get us. So starting game 1, I go ahead and elect to go first. We got a decent enough hand. I start off, going to main phase, activate Trouble Sunny, search Kisakill, normal summon Kisakill, special summon Leela from deck, special Leela from hand, overlay into Gigantic Sprite, special Sprite Blue from deck, search Red, special Jet, search Starter, link off into Sprite Elf, Sprite Elf revive Leela from grave, link off into Evil Twin Kisakill, special Leela from grave, link into Evil Twin Leela, special Evil Twin Kisakill from grave, draw 1, special Red, set 2, pass. Activate Starter, special Carrot. Here we can see my opponent is playing some sort of variant of Dark Magician, so they activate Tamias effect. So I go ahead and chain Red, tributing Evil Twin Leela, chain Kisakill effect, special Leela. On resolution, pop face down. Draw for turn. Here I just go to battle phase, switch all monsters to attack position and attack. Unfortunately, it's not enough for game. Hopefully we can live through the next turn. If so, then we definitely got game. Opponent T-sets, so I just want to absorb their face down. Draw for turn, and with that, since I have spell and trap negation on field, go ahead and attack with Gigantic Sprite, and we win the duel. Going into game 2, this is where we really saw one of my biggest enemies throughout this entire run in the Duelist Cup: connection issues. So this duel was cut drastically short, but I'll give it commentary nonetheless. So go ahead and normal summon Leela, we'll special Kisakill from deck. Overlay into Gigantic Sprite. Special Blue from deck. Search Jet. Special Jet. Search Double Cross. Link into Sprint. Sprint effect, dump Angler. Angler effect. Special 2 Nimbles. Link into Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf effect. Special summon Leela. Special Carrot and Red. Set 2, pass turn. And I guess the summon of Ecclesia was just too strong for my internet connection to handle. Cause here we're hit with a connection failed. Okay, so heading into game 3, I was a little worried just because of that connection failed from last game. So tensions were high here. and my opponent is going first, and I don't really have anything for going second, so I really had to hope that I had an out for this. But then I see that they're playing Dark Magicians, and as long as they don't set up too good of a board, I should be good. So as we can see here, my opponent doesn't really end on that gray of a board. So we start on draw phase by playing starter, summoning blue from deck, using blue effect to grab Jet from deck. Go into main phase, special summon Jet, search Double Cross. We overlay into a Gigantic Sprite. Gigantic Sprite effects, special summon Kisa Kill, special Leela from hand. Link into Sprint. Sprint effect, send Angler to grave, Angler effect, special 2 Nimbles. Link into Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf, revive Jet from grave. Go to battle phase. Activate Gamma Burst, and as long as they don't have a way to stop my attacks, this is game. So going into game 4, this is really where I start to notice the misplays happening a lot, as well as the fact as I start embodying the stereotype that Yu-Gi-Oh players cannot read. So we start the game off with my opponent going second. I have not the best opening hand by Make Do, so I normal summon Nimble, special summon Red, and I set the impermanence, which I probably should wait till later. We overlay into a Gigantic Sprite effect, special blue from deck, use blue's effect, search Jet, summon Jet, Jet effect, add Double Cross, link off the 2 sprites into Sprite Sprint. Sprint effect, dump Angler, Angler effect. Link out the 2 Nimbles into Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf effect, special summon back Red, set Double Cross, and pass. So we can see here my opponent's playing Ancient Gears, and I really didn't understand the protection that was granted through Castle. So we can see here my opponent has 2 bodies on board. I was attempting to suck up the Dark Golem, and this is where I realized majority if not all my cards target, which Castle protects against, and majority of the effects I was thinking I'd be able to get around with Red actually don't activate the way I thought they did. So I activate Sprint's effect here, and given that I can't target anything on his field, I end up bouncing back my own Jet to hand just so I could have follow-up for next turn. Here my opponent gets out their fusion, and I thought maybe I could negate the effect, but that's just not how it works. And with that, I lose the duel. Okay, so going into game 5, I'm definitely a little on edge. I probably should have won that Ancient Gear matchup, but not knowing how the cards work and everything and not working on a timer definitely put me at a setback. But here's hoping we change it around game 5. So I like to go first, activate Sunny Switch from hand, and I get hit with a Max C. Thankfully I have Called by the Grave in hand. And thanks to that, Triple Tactics is also live, so once I search the Leela from deck, I play Triple Tactics and I rip card from hand. So I can see that I'm playing against generators, and again, another deck that I don't know how the matchup works, so I just kind of go with the plays that I'm used to. So Use the 2 evil twins to go into Gigantic Sprite. Special summon blue, search Jet, special Jet, get double cross. Use the 2 sprites on board to go ahead and go into Sprint. Sprint effect, dump Angler. Angler effect, get 2 Nimbles on board. Use the 2 Nimbles, then go into Sprite Elf. Use Sprite Elf effect just to get another body on board, so I special summon Leela. Set 2 and pass. Here we can see the field spell for generators being played, as well as a continuous spell. I didn't really understand what these two did, so there's a lot of misplays probably going around regarding that, but knowing that they can at least be targeted, I go ahead and get their 1 body off the board, which then turns into 5 tokens. Thankfully, I have follow-up for this turn. I just use Elf Effect, special summon Jet. Jet gets Gamma Burst, and with that, I should have enough damage on board to go for game. So I switch all cards to attack position, go into battle phase, activate Gamma Burst, and swing into all the tokens on board, and finish off with a direct attack from Jet. Okay, so heading into game 6, I kind of maybe was getting a little too confident just off of a turnaround win from last game. Here I also get to go first, and I start with an okay enough hand, so the best play I see is to normal summon Beaver and then get Angler from deck and go into Gigantic Sprite. Use Gigantic Sprite effect to get blue, search red, and special Jet from hand. Jet searching double cross. I use the 2 sprites on board to go into Sprite Elf. I then activate Sprite Elf to get back Angler. I special summon red from hand, and I use both Angler and red to go into Sprint. Use Sprint to dump the other copy of Angler. Use Angler effect to special summon 1 Nimble from deck, because that's all that I have left. Set double cross and then pass turn. So I get hit with the Harpy's Feather Duster, and I just kind of want to save my double cross, so I just use the effect to revive blue, but unfortunately I get hit with the Called by the Grave. I then chain Sprite Elf, and Sprite Elf goes ahead and specials back red. The blue will be banished by Called by, unfortunately, and double cross doesn't really end up doing anything, but at least their Harpy's Feather Duster doesn't do anything either. We can see that they're on some sort of Golden Castle Stormburge deck. I don't really know what the line was, so I just go ahead and kind of shotgun red effect, and they just set and pass. So here I just drew the Gamma Burst, so I'm basically set up for an OTK. So I just go ahead and use Sprint to go ahead and bounce their face down, use Jet to search starter in case I need another body during battle phase. And with that, that should be enough damage for game. So I definitely have my confidence back due to the results of the past couple of games. So heading into game 7, I'm pretty confident that I can go ahead and take this one as well. I get to go first, and as you can see, I have quite the weird hand, so I just kind of make do with what I have. So I normal summon Leela to special summon Kisa Kill from deck. I use the 2 to go into Gigantic Sprite. I use Gigantic Sprite effect to go ahead and special summon blue from deck. Use blue effect to search red. Go ahead and special summon Jet to add double cross to hand. Use blue and Jet to go into Sprint. Sprint effect, go ahead and dump Angler. Angler effect engrave to go ahead and get 2 Nimbles on board. Use the 2 Nimbles and go into Sprite Elf. Use Sprite Elf effect to special summon back Leela. Special red and set double cross and then pass turn. Going into the main phase, we can clearly see that my opponent's playing Dark Magician. So much like before, I just go ahead and negate the Timaeus from hand. With that, they summon Curry Bandit. Not wanting them to get off their effect in end phase, I just go ahead and attach it to Gigantic Sprite and use Sprite Elf effect to go ahead and special summon blue to get follow up for next turn. With that, my opponent passes with just one face down, and I have game on board as long as I can get another body on board, which I do through Sprite Elf effect. I get a little fancy here and I just go ahead and get Sky Cavalry on board and special summon Carrot just to have negation for that spell and trap that my opponent has. Use Gamma Burst and then swing for game. And I'm glad that I kind of did that because as you can see there, they got another body on board with their face down. But even with that, that wasn't enough to save them from the damage that I had on board. So heading into game 8, this is where we see a return of an old enemy, internet connection. So my opponent's going first, but it doesn't even matter because we can't even get outside of draw phase. Once draw phase initiates, connection is interrupted and I'm hit with a connection failed. So going into game 9, I'm going up against a deck that I actually have a lot of experience with, and I'm surprised of the outcome that came from it. But as you can see here, I'm going second and my opponent is on Phantom Knights. So I know this deck very well, so they're doing a standard play here, and I know their end board is essentially gonna be ending on Bardiche. I only have 1 point of interaction in my hand with Imperm, so I know I'll hold it for Bardiche until I see this Cherubini. I shotgun the Imperm because of the flashbacks, and this is where I realize descending is a cost. I negated the effect, so they still get the benefit off of Cherubini. They get to search for a Fog Blade, as well as get a body on board, and they go into Bardiche anyway, and now with no point of interaction, they're free to combo completely. They set a Fog Blade directly from deck to hand. They even have Foolish in hand, so they dump Water Enchantress, so they get the whole adventure lineup in hand for next turn. They set 2 and pass, so I know that easily 2 of those are Fog Blades. And I try to get around it by shotgunning Sprite, Starter, and draw phase, but I get hit with an Ash Blossom. I still have a way to play, but knowing that there's 2 Fog Blades on field, I may not get to a strong enough board to contend with what they have for next turn. I go into Gigantic Sprite. Most likely is going to get hit with a Fog Blade, and it does. So with that, I go ahead and go into Sprite Sprint. Most likely this was also going to get hit by a Fog Blade, so I'm really just trying to burn all their points of interaction. So they do in fact hit my Sprint with a Fog Blade. I special summon red from hand, and with that I go into another Gigantic Sprite just to go ahead and beat over their Bardiche and hope that I can live through next turn knowing that they got full adventure combo in hand. So as we can see here, they go through the adventure play to go ahead and get a token and Wandering Griffin Rider from deck. Draco back equipped to the token. Griffin Rider special summon from hand. Bounce back my evenly matched. So as long as they don't get a body big enough on field to attack over Gigantic Sprite, I should be okay. But as you can see here, he's swarming the field. He definitely can get anything he needs to beat over my Gigantic Sprite. And he does so by the summon of Break Sword. and Bardiche effect, does direct attacks, and with that, that's enough damage for game. So heading into game 10, I'm hoping that I can go ahead and win this round, coming off that loss from Phantom Knights. And here we can see I'm going second, and my opponent is playing a deck that I did not expect to see here in this run at all. So my opponent starts by saying 4 and passing. I go into draw phase, and starting with Swamp Frog, I go ahead and ditch an Angler, try to use Angler effect. My opponent chains Tower of Babel to Angler effect. So I can tell from this that my opponent's playing some sort of burn deck. So what I do is I go ahead and get 2 bodies on board, go into Gigantic Sprite. Use Gigantic Sprite to summon Blue. Blue searches Jet. Jet searches Gamma Burst. And I special summon Red from hand. My opponent then burns me with their Trap card effect. But I should have game here as long as they don't negate any of my attacks. However, they are able to reflect the Gigantic Sprite damage onto me. Actually, summon Swamp Frog in attack position earlier, I would have had game. Or if I had used it along with any other material to special summon Elf, I would have had game. So I have to go with plan B, which is using Sunny Snitch to search a Light Twin, just so I can get the burn effect if and when they summon a monster next turn. However, that doesn't work and I just have to pass turn. So we can see my opponent's trying to activate the effect of Danger Thunderbird. And here is a grave misplay I made here. On the activation of Danger Thunderbird, I use Ash Blossom. This is as good as just throwing my Ash Blossom into the graveyard with no effect, because they're able to just activate the card again. So in doing that, they are able to special summon the Thunderbird, and with that they go into battle phase and they run over my Gigantic Sprite. It's my turn. So here all I need to do is run over Danger Thunderbird by either gain some removal and doing direct damage or by battle. So I attempt to get rid of their Thunderbird by going into Soul Sweeper and banishing the Thunderbird. I then Book of Moon my Soul Sweeper. I then special summon Swamp Frog from hand to go ahead and go into Sprite Elf. With Sprite Elf, I revive back Red, and with both Elf and Red, I overlay both of them into Gigantic Sprite, give me 32 attack on field, go into battle phase, and if this connects, I win the duel. And it does, and in fact, we do win. So of course, I played more than just 10 games throughout this entire Duelist Cup. However, due to Master Duel's limit of only being able to save 10 replays, I'm just going to go ahead and provide audio commentary over what happened in the last couple games. So first of these final games was game 11. This was against Ubel, and I was able to take it pretty convincingly. I was able to set up a pretty good board, which consisted of Gigantic Sprite, Sprite Elf, Sprite Sprind, and both evil twins Leela and Kisa Kill. Sprite Red and an Ash Blossom in hand. I was able to handle their Samsara play as well as their follow-up with Grey Squirmer, and with that I was able to overpower the Ubel player and win pretty convincingly. So for game 12, I set up a pretty similar board to that against the Ubel player, and I was able to lock my opponent out of setting up any sort of board and then take it by going into battle phase and using Gamma Burst to take their life points down to 0. In game 13, I was going up against a Toon/Red Eyes player. They're kind of playing a lot of cards that didn't really make sense for either strategy, so it just kind of seemed like a hodgepodge. I was apparently able to stop their starter from going through, as well as stop their Toon Kingdom from resolving. So with that, they just passed turn and I was able to do direct damage with the board that I had set up. Moving on to game 14, this one was against Ice Barrier, and much like the Ancient Gear matchup, I really didn't know what majority of the new cards did, and thus I kind of jumped the gun and I used my only interactions I had during this game incorrectly, and with doing that, no destruction ended up happening, which meant that they still had more advantage on board by the time it came to turn 3, and I wasn't able to put anything up to defend against that, so they were able to overrun me and take the win. In game 15, which was the final game of this run, was against Labyrinth, and I was lucky enough to draw into my only copy of Lightning Storm, as well as evenly match in this game. so I was able to handle all the traps that they were throwing my way. And with that, I was able to take this one pretty convincingly as well. With that, that is all the games I played during this Duelist Cup. I want to move into some key takeaways I got from participating in this Duelist Cup. One is that I really need to read up on these new cards. Even if they're a part of decks that I don't plan on playing, it pays to know how the interactions work with my deck and how they work within their own deck. Second, I really have to learn my deck a bit better. Even though I've been playing it for so long, there are many misplays I made because I don't know how they interact with another deck in particular, as well as the fact that I do not know how some combo lines work, especially with Swap Frog. And lastly, is I should definitely check the announcements on Master Duel. By missing the date of when this Duelist Cup started, I missed out on so many games I could have played, and I probably could have actually ranked if I had played them all. However, playing 15 games in just one day was not enough to get me anywhere close to a rank. And with all that being said, I still had fun participating in this Duelist Cup, and I hope that you all out there also enjoy participating in any of the events that Master Duel has going forward. And with that, I hope to see y'all soon.